I know it's crazy, but it has been an entire year since Jade and I installed the hardtop onto Eva. It was a process that started from scratch, and after a lot of blood, sweat, tears, sleepless nights, cardboard templates, and plenty of mistakes, we got it installed. There was a lot of trial and error, trying things that we had never done before. And because the boat was sitting in a normal marina, we rented a shared workspace that was several miles away. Now, this was in Spain, so it was technically in kilometers, but I never really was able to get my brain to think in meters or kilometers. So it was miles. That meant we would build a piece in the workshop, move it to the boat using a car or one wheel or a truck, try it on the boat, see how it fit, then take it back to the shop, modify, repeat. Because we'd never done most of this before, there was a lot of inefficiency, a lot of wasted materials, a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted money. But that's what happens when you are learning how to do something for the first time like this. We ended up building it in 3 major pieces: the front dodger, the rear arch and dinghy davits, and the center section hardtop. We joined those 3 pieces together with carbon fiber and epoxy. 1 year, 8,000 miles, 6 countries, and an ocean crossing later.
We made it! We love you, it's been awesome.
I think it's time we talk about our hardtop, our expedition enclosure as we named it. How has it held up? How has it met our expectations? And answer some of your questions. Have you ever been traveling and sitting in the airport and you look around and you notice how many people are sitting there on their laptops, their phones, their iPads, or even in a library or in a coffee shop? And you just notice everybody supposedly using the internet on this public Wi-Fi and thought, how are they doing that? Is that even safe? Is it legal? What about all of the hackers, the attackers, the trackers that want their data? Odds are they're using Surfshark VPN, which is the sponsor of this episode. It's a virtual private network that is encrypting all of the data that is being sent or received by their devices. That way, even on a super unsafe, free Wi-Fi like in the airport or the coffee shop or the library, their data, their IP address, and even location are protected. We use Surfshark VPN almost always, and we have for years because we're always traveling. So having the ability to access our bank accounts, to spoof our GPS location, and then to even sometimes access different countries' Netflix libraries comes in really handy when you are outside of the country that you need to be in for your bank account or whatever. And with the one account, you get unlimited devices. So no matter how many computers, laptops, tablets, whatever you have, one account, super easy, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So go check it out, try it out, see what you think. Use the link in the description. It's surfshark.com/expedition engineering, or just remember the code expedition engineering at checkout, and you will get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. So thank you, Surfshark, and now let's get back to it. For a long time, canvas biminis were the gold standard. So why are more and more boats going with hardtops? Personally, I would never go back to having a canvas bimini. When the wind and rain pick up, having a solid roof over your head brings so much peace of mind and comfort and safety.
Dude, we're gonna lose this bimini. All of these staves right here are ripping.
Having solid places to grab onto that don't rattle or wiggle when you put weight on them, windows that aren't hazy or yellowing, lights that actually light up the cockpit and make it safe to work around. And because the legs are so strong, you don't have to have an endless array of scaffolding and tubing that is trying to keep the canvas from inevitably flapping in the wind. If built right, a hardtop should last the life of the boat. And of course, the hardtops, they look better if they're done right. They can match the lines of the boat better. They can actually look integrated. What about the windage? What about the weight aloft? We've been in some pretty big seas. We've had waves that were higher than the hardtop, and we've been in wind that was approaching 50 knots, and the boat behaved normal. Before we had this hardtop, we had a fabric bimini, and we pretty much never removed it. And because the surface area and height from the deck of that bimini and our new hardtop are nearly identical, there's really no difference as far as windage goes. We did that on purpose. And weight aloft, it's almost exactly the same. We have a little more weight overall, but a lot of that weight is actually down low.
99 pounds, baby.
We do have a little more weight overall, probably, but when we did all the weighing, it was really close. Is the boat's performance worse for having a hardtop? Probably. I wouldn't know. And that really has never been an option. The type of sailing and life that we want to live, not having a Dodger and a Bimini isn't really an option. Now, where it could be a factor would be if there's a hurricane. If you are in some serious wind, huge storms, could the hardtop be a bigger problem? Yeah, it could be, because you actually can't take it down like you could a canvas bimini.
Over 40 knots, more than that, like 45 on gusts.
Taking down the solar panels, it's like all hands on deck on all the boats in this anchorage right now because this is just picking up like crazy.
Do I think the hardtop would survive a hurricane? Maybe. It really depends on too many factors. Depends on the type of hurricane, how much wind, are we getting hit on the side, is it straight above? You know, there's so many factors. It is way stronger than the canvas bimini that we used to have and way more securely attached. So who knows?
In absolutely ideal circumstance, we're getting hit by a big squall as we go through the shallows. Awesome.
Would we do it again? Maybe, differently though. Something we didn't really talk about much when it was happening was that Jade and I got really sick during this build. Not because of the build, we actually suspect it was from visiting the Vatican and Sistine Chapel and some of the tourist sites, which is kind of ironic. Tack that onto some of the other health issues like Jade's neck, and doing this hardtop wasn't that great of a time. So when I think back about doing this all again, no, I wouldn't do it again. But assuming we're healthy, we have a good shop to work in, we have the time and space to do it, yeah, I'd do it again. What would we do differently? Now this is a tricky question because it's really easy to get running down rabbit holes and what ifs and a lot of impossibilities. I would have loved to build this hardtop right next to the boat, to not have to haul parts through a city and to have a workshop that was 5 feet from the boat. I would have loved to have a crane that I could build a piece and lift it up onto the boat, or build one big unit, not have it have be 3 pieces. To have a chandlery right next door that had all the supplies and epoxy that I needed. That's not reality. That's really not an option. Let's talk about the things that we could do differently. Rust. There is rust from most of the screw holes. This is due to the dissimilar metals of stainless steel screws and carbon fiber. We did our best to minimize this, and we thought we did a good job by over drilling the screw holes and then filling them with epoxy. Clearly that wasn't good enough everywhere. Most of the places it was okay. Use tough gel or maybe source titanium screws. Let's just hope in the future when it's time to take these out, they aren't too corroded. Figuring out the front window sooner. We wanted to do this sooner, but we kind of couldn't because of the Traveler. Having the front window be able to open was always the plan, but we really wanted to test out the hardtop before we moved the Traveler up onto the arch. Now that it's been a year and 8,000 miles, I think it's safe to say we can move it. We just haven't made the time to do so. Sailing upwind, especially here in the Caribbean, it is hot, incredibly hot. For now, we've just taken the window out, and we will sort out the window once we sort out the Traveler. Let's talk about the solar panels. We ended up installing 1,800 watts of Bouge RV Yuma SIGS panels. From the get-go, we always planned on having flexible solar panels. For a long time, we planned on making our own solar panels out of the little cells that you can then solder together, but the longer the project went on, the less that looked like a fun project and the more we thought we might die. I ended up having to drill a 3-inch hole into one of the 200 watt panels for the rear rigging, and impressively that one actually still puts out 200 watts, which is pretty cool. And for a while, with the 1,800 watts installed, we made 1,800 watts and sometimes more during the peak sun, even with the heat and clouding and all sorts of things. But at some point, I don't know exactly when, one of the outer layers started peeling off. Not thinking about it, thinking it was maybe just some extra plastic that we forgot to take off originally, I peeled it off. And that was a big mistake because that panel is now dead. This panel you can see is just completely delaminated and it's totally shot. This one, we peeled off the plastic, there's a little nub of it left, thinking that it was a protective layer, but it was not. That was the actual top coating. And so this panel is totally done. I really should take this out of the loop because right now it's all set in series, so this probably is actually pulling the series down some. It does have bypass diodes, but I don't know about if the entire panel is that bad, how well those diodes can actually, bypass. It turns out that top layer was ETFE, which is a protective layer that is over the top of all of the panels. And so if yours is starting to peel up, do not peel it off. You will ruin your panel. And it's not exclusive to the Bouge RV panels. I read on some forums in a lot of places that this is kind of typical for SIGS panels especially, and you can fix it, or you can prevent it, I should say, by running some silicone around the edge, or maybe even butyl tape around that edge. You just need to keep the edge from being able to peel up. It could be that the panels are getting too hot, which I don't think is the problem with ours because they are designed to be hard mounted like this. They actually have the sticky tape on the bottom that you just stick them down. This is what they're made to do. It could also be that we just mounted them too close together, and so the edges rub up against each other. We do have a couple spare panels. I'm not sure the size, but hopefully I can replace the damage panel, the main big one, and then we have a couple others that are starting to show some damage as well. But in the future, I am considering swapping some, probably not all, of the panels to rigid panels to hopefully get a little more capacity. It is hot, and so we are wanting to run the air conditioner a little more, and the 1800 watts just can't quite keep up with all of the boat loads, especially if we're running something like an air conditioner. These solar panels run the entire boat, from the instrument to our Starlink to the 3D printer, the air conditioners, water heaters, computers, laptops, everything runs off of these solar panels. And so right now I am washing them. It has been a long time since they have been washed. They're getting the fresh water. I'm just using a rag, it's actually a towel, and wiping them down because they get covered in dust. There's Saharan dust coming through, but then also just salt spray. They are covered in salt spray. So with the fresh water, I'll rinse them down, and then hopefully we'll have more efficiency for the next little while, at least until they get dirty again. What is in the future for this project? Well, we need to finish it, basically. We bought the paint, we had it mixed, and we have it. We need to sand it, fair it, and then paint it. We need to finish the dinghy davits. We did test them, and they do work, but then we removed the hardware when we primed it, and we just didn't reinstall everything because of the corrosion of the screws, and so we thought, all right, let's fix that first. I need to move the traveler, we talked about before, drill holes in the panels so I can put the blocks, sort out that front window, wire up the front speakers, replace some of the damaged windows if I want to, build a new stern rail, or probably have one built, plumb or maybe not the rain gutter, and then sort out all of the rust. Like any big project, it'll get done, but it'll get done when it gets done. I'm really glad we did it. I'm happy to have the hardtop. It has been amazing doing the ocean crossing, having the solar, having the Starlink, having the safety at sea with the hard windows. You don't realize how much a canvas bimini rattles and shakes. We had a nice one. Ours was very nicely made, but it rattled, it shook, it had a little bit of give, so when you leaned on it, you didn't feel very secure. And this is solid. It just feels good, it feels safe. With the paddle boards on the sides and the hardtop and the hard dodger, it almost is like a center cockpit. It's not, but it's kind of close. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed the hardtop build, the hardtop series. If you haven't watched those videos, go check them out, and I'll try to answer any questions you have. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time.